Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Our next presentation is The Voices of Russian Transpersonalism, History and Modern State. The field of transpersonally oriented studies, psychology and psychotherapy in Russia is historically rich and based on mutual coexistence of very diverse approaches, encompassing perspectives from all the main world's religions, as well as transpersonal aspects of more secular, non-spiritual approaches. Being at the crossroads of the East and the West, North and South, Russian transpersonalism has exhibited its capacity for both integrating very different paths of transpersonal knowledge and giving birth to its own unique voices. So we're going to meet our presenters now. Dr. Vladimir Maykov holds a PhD in philosophy and of consciousness, is the head of Department of Transpersonal Psychology at Moscow Institute of Psychoanalysis, president of the Russian Association of Transpersonal Psychology and Psychotherapy, head of the Groff Legacy Training in Russia, a certified facilitator of Groff Legacy, training and holotropic breathwork, a film director and author of 4 documentaries and around 100 interviews of human development, and a member of the Eurotas Presidium. Eugene Pustoshkin, an ethical psychologist, therapist, group facilitator, and mindfulness guides. Clinical psychologist, alumnus of St. Petersburg University's Faculty of Psychology, and Presidium member of the Russian Association of Transpersonal Psychology and Psychotherapy, the ATPP. For nearly 2 decades, Eugene has translated Ken Wilber's works and other key texts in integral meta theory, adult development theory, and transpersonal psychology into Russian. Yuan Zhen is a lecturer in the master's program and teaching assistant in the PhD program at Sofia University. He is a member of the EECS, which is the Exceptional Experiences in Consciousness Studies research group at the University of Northampton. He has worked and is working as a researcher and research assistant in several psychology research projects. He is currently studying for a PhD in psychology at the University of Northampton, UK. Yeah, we welcome our presenters now.
So hello everyone. So we feel very happy. I feel very happy for sure to invite 2 scholars from Russia to come give you a presentation. I met them in Russia because I was living in Russia for a few years, and I thought, hey, what's happening in transpersonal psychology in Russia? So I found them. I feel very lucky, as you heard. They're a practitioner and board member, president, researcher, and so on, and writer and filmmaker. So I met them at the conference and I told them about Sofia University, and I say, hey, why don't we bridge this gap between the Western transpersonal psychology research and what's happening in Russia, because we hear so little from Russia. So today it will be mainly Vladimir and Eugene talking. So for the start, we're going to hear about the history of transpersonal psychology from Vladimir, and then we're going to hear about what's happening in the recent years and right now from Eugene. So let's start there then.
Can I start? Thank you, Jan, for introducing. And it's a pleasure to be a member of this conference. First time, and I visited the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology in 1990, and had the privilege to talk with founders of this institute. And we even have at this year some joint program between Soviet Union, Russia, and the Institute of Transpersonal Psychology. So if we will look at the history of transpersonal movement in Russia, one of the best way to have a complete picture is to look at geographic map of Russia. Let me give you this picture. So this is the map of modern Russia, and this is a map of Russia in the end of 19th century. If we look at the map, we will see that on the south, Russia has a connection with China, Taoist tradition, with Mongolia, it's Buddhist tradition, and in Russia there is Buddhist region like Kalmykia and Buryatia with Tibetan Buddhism. Then long borders with Asia and Muslim and Sufi traditions. If we look at the West, there is a connection with Western and Eastern Europe, Eastern Christianity and Western Christianity. And inside Russia, there is a lot of places with shamanism, and originally, actually, shamanism was studied by a Russian scientist in the end of 18th century. And also inside Russia, we have a long tradition of pagan religions. And so for many centuries, Russia was like alchemical space where all world religions and tradition were interacting and mixed and influences on each other. So this is important to understand the roots and the richness of modern Russian transpersonal movement. We can, of course, find in Russia 2 layers and 7 specific roots. A layer of shamanism and a layer of Russian paganism. And there is a lot of, in my presentation, films, but no time to show them here. And as far as 7 layers, the most important are the layer of Russian Orthodox Christianity and its mystical tradition, Hesychasm. Second layer, it's Russian religious philosophy, Vladimir Solovyov, Lev Shestov, and many other great Russian religious philosophers. By the way, Michael Murphy, the founder of SLN Institute, published in his library many of Russian traditional philosophy. The third layer is Theosophy by Elena Petrovna Blavatskaya. She lived in India, but she was of Russian origin and influenced very much on Russian culture. The fourth root is Anthroposophy by Rudolf Steiner. And many Russians was under influence of Anthroposophy and close students by Rudolf Steiner, like very famous writer Andrei Bely, and also Mikhail Chekhov, theater director who emigrated, and actually he taught in Hollywood and create the school of Hollywood actors. And the five root is Russian writers of existential orientation. And you know, of course, Leo Tolstoy and Fyodor Dostoevsky. And the sixth root is fourth way tradition by Georgy Gurdjieff and his students Pyotr Uspensky. And Gurdjieff taught in St. Petersburg, in Moscow, and after October Revolution, he emigrated to France and taught at Institute of Harmonic Development near Paris. And seven, a very important root of Russian transpersonalism is Russian cosmism, which was studied by Fyodorov and his students, great philosophers Vladimir Solovyov, Nikolai Berdyaev, and also Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, who actually invented rocket and fly to other planet. And also people like academician Vernadsky and many other great scientists. And it's interesting when Fritjof Capra, famous transpersonal writers and scientist, I invited him and he lectured in Moscow and get a feedback from Russian philosopher and science, and he told that what is new science in United States is actually mainstream academic science in Russia, and it will it gives us some hints about the difference between Russian and American transpersonalism. So Russian transpersonal movement also were influenced by many other great researchers like philosopher Losov, literary critic Mikhail Bakhtin, great philosopher Merab Mamardashvili and Alexander Pitigorsky, and have a long history. I entered to transpersonal psychology in underground transpersonal circle context in 1980. I was young, I just graduated Moscow Physical Technological Institute and entered postgraduate studies at the Moscow Institute of Philosophy. And at the same time, I became member of transpersonal movement and read my first transpersonal book by Stan Grof, Realms of Human Unconsciousness. And it initiated me into transpersonal research. And so I hope Evgeny will continue and give the picture of modern state of Russian transpersonalism.
Yes, it was a little bit unexpected because I thought you would do your whole part, because I have a very big presentation which needs the full time, like full of 15 minutes. I didn't navigate through it. So you may continue and I'll do my part, or I can continue and we'll do as we had planned. What do you think, Vladimir?
The next part is a kind of my research and my investment into Russian transpersonal field.
Yes,
So,
I think it would be better if you continue and...
Okay. So I am founding a president of Russian Association of Transpersonal Psychology and Psychotherapy, and soon in October in St. Petersburg we'll have our 24th conference. And there is a website of this conference I'll show. So it's Bridge to Unknown, Development Tools for the New Time. We have the site of our Association of Transpersonal Psychology and Psychotherapy, and links to all program and leaders. I am also teaching transpersonal psychology at Moscow Institute of Psychoanalysis. This is the biggest Russian institute in the field of psychology and psychotherapy. It's accredited by Euratas. And I am teaching 3 programs on transpersonal counseling, transpersonal psychotherapy, and transpersonal coaching. I am a film director, and this I'll show. These are my 4 films about transpersonal psychology and human evolution. And The Dance of Infinity, The Secret of Carlos Castaneda, Tools for Evolution, and The Garden of Soul. And all my films are now on YouTube, and so everybody can watch them. And several years ago, when we celebrated the 50th jubilee of transpersonal psychology in California, there was a conference. I was there as presenter, and also I've shown 2 of my films, Tools of Evolution and The Secret of Carlos Castaneda, at Sophia Institute, by the way, and at California Institute of Integral Studies. If now everybody can watch my film on YouTube. So there is a channel, Homo Realitas, and all my films are here. And heroes of this film are Ken Wilber, Arnie Menendel, Stan Grove, Jim Fadiman, spiritual enlightened teachers, and many others, researchers, etc., etc. And also I have several connections with teachers. So I studied process work with Arnie Mendel and organized 10 his seminars in Moscow and published almost all his books. Also, I've published first 5 books by Ken Wilber and his heroes, hero of my film, and all books by Stan and Christina Grove. And I am directing Grove Legacy Training in Russia. And these studies and connection influenced a lot on my own studies. And for many years, I've studied the source and prehistory of psychotherapy. And I found 12 types of primordial psychotherapy, which lies in the basement of almost, I think, all schools of modern psychotherapy: shamanic psychotherapy, Slavic or pagan psychotherapy, psychotherapy as goodness, psychotherapy as heroism, psychotherapy as breathwork, psychotherapy as healing and wholeness, psychotherapy as metamorphosis, as magical field of consciousness. So there is a paper published in Journal of Integral Transpersonal Studies by Pierluigi Latuada with a description of, condensed description of my research. Also, the second field of my studies is further development of original ideas by Joseph Campbell about hero's journey and heroism. And I found 3 basic hero's journey, not only mythical, that were described by Joseph Campbell, but also existential and spiritual journey. And so this is brief description, difference about these 3 types of journey. And also I describe in details 6 dimensions of human or existential journeys, and the difference, and also multiplicity of mythical journal, individual journal, and archetypal journey, and also multiple spiritual journey. So it's a kind of new advanced map of heroism and heroic journey, and it can be used in cinema, in art, in producing a film, and I am using this very much. And my last research several years is connected with codes of evolution as main resource for our development, therapy, etc., etc. And first, I'm also sharing this research in public talks, and first 15 talks, this is the title of these talks, are already on YouTube. I'll show this page now here. So you can find the first 15 talks on YouTube, and the next 15 talks will be soon also before the end of this year. So this is briefly what I am doing and what I am teaching. Thank you very much. Женя, Evgeny, your turn.
Thank you. Okay, so original plan was that we switch in the middle, but as I was working on the presentation, I realized that most of my presentation will be about presenting the works of others, and I decided that like the time that I will be spending about in my own work, it will be limited to maybe a minute or two. And that was my decision based on my feeling of moral responsibility to convey to you at least some taste of the Russian transpersonal field, the way it is like it's been in the recent decades. Of course, in such a short time, we cannot convey you the whole span and legacy of Russian transpersonalism. As you have seen, as you saw in Vladimir's presentation, they're like very huge currents which span sometimes centuries, sometimes 1,000 years. Like a Christian tradition is 1,000 years. Shamanic and paganistic tradition, even if it is reconstructed, it goes into morphogenetic fields for tens of thousands of years. Islam is a part of Russian culture for at least, I don't know, maybe 600 years or more. And Buddhism, specifically Vajrayana Buddhism, is a part of Russian culture for 300 years. And there is also a strand of Russian atheism, which influenced the Russian Cosmism to some degree, which is also a serious philosophy which could be elevated to transpersonal levels, which is like about 150, 200 years. So it is a huge topic to discuss, and we hope that we will be invited again, and we can maybe at a greater length to explore all the different aspects of that. But I'll begin with my presentation, and before I'll start the presentation, I want to say that when I was at age maybe 13 or 14, I encountered the books published by Vladimir Maykov, and those initiated me in transpersonal psychology. So there is this direct continuation of lineage. So now more than or about 25 years, I've been initiated by this whole work even before I met Vladimir in person. So this is an important point to make. So I decided to name my presentation "The Souls of Russian Transpersonalism," because it is all about not just theories or some corpus of works, although, as we've seen in Vladimir's case, the 7 dozens books that he published or through his initiative really influenced, for instance, me and initiated me in the whole transpersonal integral lineage. But in Russian culture, soul is very important, and I selected a few souls who are landmark transpersonal pioneers of Russia about whom I wanted to tell. And the first of such people is Tonu Soidla. He recently passed away in March, so I wanted to honor his memory. He was a prominent Soviet and Estonian Russian molecular biologist and geneticist, and also a pioneer of transpersonal psychology and transpersonal research. His wife, Olga Nezglyadova, provided information, which I'm citing here, that he was one of the pioneers of transpersonal psychology in Russia. He compiled and edited 5 issues of what is known as Voices of Russian Transpersonalism, published in the International Journal of Transpersonal Studies, and there is also a book which is out of print, but there was a book. He wrote his own essays. He offered his own ideas about how genetics could influence our transpersonal thinking. And he was collaborating with transpersonal professor Sam Shapiro, and taught courses on spontaneity of being and Russian transpersonalism at the University of Hawaii. And he was a co-founder, and Vladimir is the president and also co-founder and full member of the Russian Association for Transpersonal Psychology and Psychotherapy. I'm a member of its presidium, and it is the primary transpersonal organization in the Russian world. He was a member of the editorial board of various transpersonal journals, such as Journal of Transpersonal Psychology and International Journal of Transpersonal Studies, and also he was a member of the editorial board of Journal of Mind and Behavior. He wrote a very interesting kind of fiction in which he tried in mythological and transpersonal, transrational form to convey his transpersonal ideas. And I was happy to have recorded an interview with him, which is available on YouTube. We talked a little bit, not as much as I would have wanted now as I look back, but he always fascinated me by his presence, his immense presence. He was a practitioner of Advaita Vedanta. His main spiritual teacher was Sri Ramana Maharshi. In his he initiated himself through his writings. And when I talked to him, I was amazed how he also looked very like a creature from a fairy tale, like some kind of wise person, wise archetype of wisdom. So I wanted to share Tonu's memory of Tonu Soidla, or Tinu in Russian, Tonu Soidla, with you, and with the hope that you will read his articles and read his the volumes edited by him, The Voices of Russian Transpersonalism. So in the love and memory of Tonu Soidla. Here are the links to the specific issues of the International Journal of Transpersonal Studies, where you can find the Voices of Russian Transpersonalism. You can make a screenshot, or on the recording you will find it, and it is available through the website of Californian Institute of Integral Studies. You can freely access these issues. Next person whom I wanted to talk about is my personal favorite. He is considered like the last knight the last knight and Gnostic of like Silver Age Russia, Vasily Nalimov. On this picture, you can see also to the left Zhana Dragalina Nalimova, who is his life partner, collaborator, wife, and she actually gave me as present one of the issues of the Voices of Russian Transpersonalism. So this is the issue that she gave to me. She is still alive, and she is trying to finish editing some of the last books before she feels that her journey on this planet is ending. Very nice and profound woman as well. So Vasily Nalimov, he was a mystical anarchist. He was a scientist and transpersonal pioneer who spent almost 2 decades in Gulag. I think it was 18 years. He was sentenced to Gulag because he was a participant of the mystical anarchist circle of people who were influenced by Western esotericism, and they called themselves the Western wing of the Knights of Templar. Although historically it is dubious that they were really related to the Knights of Templar, it is most likely the kind of anthroposophy and Rosicrucian related lineage, but still they were a very profound power in the Russia of 1920s, and they influenced Mikhail Chekhov, whom Vladimir Maykov mentioned in his presentation. Also, to some degree, I'm pretty sure Konstantin Stanislavsky was influenced, because he was influenced by anthroposophy and theosophy. He referred to superconsciousness, and they must have been in some dialogue in this area. It was a secret order, so you cannot disclose your membership in this order. So that's why when in the Soviet Union there were repressions, there was some kind of investigation to that. And there are some works that are available even in English, which investigated this order of light, as they called it, this esoteric cultural entity, which was very interesting. And Vasily Nalimov's favorite quotation from Maurice Maeterlinck reflects his own life. The greatness of a man is measured against the mysteries which he cultivates, or the mysteries he surrenders to. And Vasily Nalimov himself, he was that. He was the universe grasper through the help of Eugene Garfield, who is also on that picture to the right. He was with Vasily Nalimov, they are founders of scientometrics, or the how you measurement of science. And Eugene Garfield, with whom I was in correspondence, he passed away in 2017. He helped publishing, or he actually published the 4 books by Vasily Nalimov, which are actually available online, or they were available online for free, and you can also find them on the old bookstores. But the main book by Vasily Nalimov was not published. The book's title is The Spontaneity of Consciousness. Zhana Dragalina has a translation of it in English, but it was not published. But also it can be translated anew, maybe a more recent, a more modern translation could be made. And if I were to recommend one book to translate to English, it would be The Spontaneity of Consciousness. Vasily Nalimov was a mainstream hardcore scientist who worked with Andrei Kolmogorov. Both of them were mathematicians, and Kolmogorov was a co-founder of probability theory. And Vasily Nalimov was known for advancing his probability vision and probabilistic vision of the universe. I don't have time to discuss more about his works, but you can spend many months and years discussing this grand integral synthesis which Vasily Nalimov offered in his works. The next school is a school of altered states of consciousness, and I wanted to highlight 2 personalities. One of them is Leonid Spivak. He was the leading Soviet and Russian psychiatrist, working with military at first, a pioneer of psychedelic research. In 1971, he wrote the book Psychomimetics. After he retired, and even before actually, he became very interested in transpersonal research, and he joined Natalia Petrovna Bekterova at the Human Brain Institute, where they founded the Consciousness Research Laboratory, where they produced very famous research of altered states of consciousness. And also they studied transpersonal phenomena, including the studies of holotropic breathwork. There is one of the most notable article indicated by his son Dimitri Spivak, that this article about psychoactive drug research in Soviet scientific tradition actually made the blast when it was published in 1991. That actually there was very profound research of psychoactive substances in Soviet Union. Dimitri Spivak is his father's collaborator. He is known for linguistics of altered states of consciousness. He also wrote a book which is available in English, and his articles are available in English, on altered states of society, kind of sociological perspective on altered states. For many years, he has been leading consciousness researcher at the Human Brain Institute. He is a polymath, cultural scientist, holding many degrees. And recently, he has studied psychophysiological mechanisms of longevity. So they're both, when they worked as a team, they're known for introducing gender-specific altered states of consciousness. These gender-specific altered states of consciousness are related to this basic study of women during the process of childbirth, in which during which many of them experienced altered states of consciousness, including most notably out-of-body experiences, which Leonid Spivak called spatial depersonalization. Many women experience auditory visual phenomena, they report about telepathic contacts, life reviews, and other unusual states. And they also noted that you have to survey women right after the childbirth, because when time passes by, due to amnesic effects of stress-related altered states of consciousness, they don't remember. So they did this profound study, and you could find the articles at the website altstates.net here on this slide. It is the website I founded in 2006, and it has all the articles in Russian and some articles in English, and you can use modern translation tools to actually read this work. Another person, he is our contemporary, Oleg Bakhtiarov, whom I wanted to highlight. He was influenced both by transpersonal paradigm and by studies of research by Spivak, and they actually were in one cultural milieu in 1980s, studying consciousness in unconventional, post-conventional research. And Oleg Bakhtiarov is the founder of psychonetics, which is a secular paradigm of psychotechniques, which includes the famous deconcentration technique. This paradigm, this person is so important that a film about multiple champion and world champion in freediving, Natalia Molchanova, actually featured a character which was modeled after Oleg Bakhtiarov, because Oleg was he taught Natalia Molchanova the deconcentration techniques which helped her to become a world champion in freediving. And in future, when we are invited, we'll be happy to show these techniques to you. Right now, we can only mention them in passing. Deconcentration is not the only psychotechnique in psychonetics. There are many tools in it, and it is a very unique Russian and also Ukrainian Russian. Oleg Bakhtiarov, he's Russian. He lived for many years in Ukraine, and now he lives for at least 11 years in Russia. And another research which could not be ignored is the research of death state meditation. It is also known as Russian Tukdam research project. Tukdam is a post-mortem state meditation in Vajrayana Buddhism, and a Russian team of researchers associated with the Russian Academy of Sciences, headed by late Svetoslav Medvedev. He recently passed just a few months ago. He's a son of Natalia Petrovna Bekhtereва. Remember the Natalia Petrovna Bekhtereва, who founded the Human Brain Institute, where both Dimitri Spivak and Leonid Spivak worked in St. Petersburg. Then it was Leningrad. So it was a very powerful crucible of consciousness studies. So they actually conducted and continue ongoing research. This very strong team of researchers who include Yuri Bubeyev, Yulia Boytsova, Yelena Kokurina, Alexander Kaplan, Konstantin Anokhin. They published their works in mainstream academic journals, and they basically found that postmortem decomposition was delayed for periods of days and even weeks before rapidly accelerating. We know when these Buddhist monks, like Vajrayana monks, when they go into dying process in a meditation posture, so they actually scientifically, materialistically proven that something is happening on the physiological level. They are not metaphysical in their interpretations. They're intentionally taking a materialistic empirical stance, but it is a really revolutionary breakthrough study. Currently, as I mentioned, Association of Transpersonal Psychology and Psychotherapy is the leading transpersonal psychology and transpersonal studies organization in Russia. It is also not playing games of division. The participants of all main transpersonal movements are actually welcome to participate in the association. So I'm a representative of Ken Wilber's integral paradigm and Ken Wilber's integral psychology, and it is peacefully coexisting with all other paradigms like Stan Groff's holotropic breathwork, process-oriented work, and constellation work, and many others. So this is showing that our disciplinary divisions are actually kind of illusory, and our ambitions are very good, but we also have to have an ambition to find the common ground while maintaining our differences. The leading integral and transpersonal journal, which is available for free, is Earth and Cosmos. It was co-founded in 2013. I was one of the co-founders, and I'm also a chief editor. There is an abbreviated English version. Right now it doesn't work, but we are intending to reconstruct it in full, so it will work to the full extent. You'll see a sample of articles in English. And our own project, my own project with Tatiana Parfenova, is called Integral Awareness. We for almost 20 years, I've been studying and translating Ken Wilber's books and learning how to implement both transpersonal psychology and integral psychology in practice. I'm practicing therapist, practicing consultant. And so this project reflects our own ideas about how it can be manifested in practice. And it is a little bit different from how it is often practiced in the West. So we participated in the recent Integral European Conference, which took place in Hungary this May. And people who attended our workshop, they were fascinated by what we provided in terms of practices, which was surprising to us because we thought we would go there and everybody would say that, oh, we know that, okay, you're like one of us, so nice that in Russia you do this. But we actually found that we are doing pioneering work, which is not known by very experienced people who attended this Integral European Conference. So I hope that we will be able to share our work in the future. And this is a slide with information about me. Feel free to reach out to me using Facebook, also using my website or email. And you can also look at this in the very bottom, the website integralmeditation.ru/en. You can go there and see more information about me, some of the videos with me, and you can book a session if needed. So this is basically the presentation about the source of Russian transpersonalism. And thank you for listening. I do think that there is a lot more to tell. Please don't hesitate to invite us in the future events, and we'll be happy to share the legacy of Russian transpersonalism and the current state of affairs.
Thanks very much. So before we get to the question, I want to ask one quick thing, if we could share it to our audiences. So the association, the Russian Association for Transpersonal Psychology, what's the website, if we can pull that out again for our viewers to see? So if they want to participate, if they want to listen, and if they want to check out the journals, they will have the link. You're muted, by the way.
Microphone is muted, Vladimir.
So if I can write that website link down in the chat.
ATTP.ru. Yes, I'll write.
Perfect. And I think we have time for one question. For how does Vasily Nalimov's work as the last knight of Silver Age Russia reflect that era's spiritual and philosophical ethos? And what made his transpersonal contributions distinct from other Russian pioneers?
Oh, well, it's just a very long question. Basically, he was both a scientist and a true mystic of agnostic origin. He basically took fiction literature like Fyodor Dostoevsky. He was main inspiration, but also all the transpersonal theorists from Stangrove to Ken Wilber to others. And he provided his own direct transmission. So I would really advise you to read some article about him and try one of his books published in English. He really gives a profound direct transmission into how you can really actually try to comprehend the whole universe as a living, spontaneous being. His main point was that we are not predetermined. We, as consciousness being, we are always have innately this ability for spontaneous activity. It was his main point about the freedom of choice and spontaneity of consciousness. It was very powerful. He, being a mathematician, he pointed out that there is randomness, which is spoken in science of in the philosophy of science and in science, is actually a philosophical construct which is not developed that much. People don't reflect what is the nature of randomness. And randomness, in his idea, was very related to spontaneity. Randomness is an algorithmical being. You cannot make you cannot make a prediction, just a random event which happens, and it is related to spontaneity of consciousness and free will. And if you want a spiritual and transpersonal mystic who is also a scientist, who emphasizes that we have spontaneity of consciousness, it is Vasily Nalimov.
Perfect. Thank you all for being here and sharing the history of Russian transpersonalism and sharing your specific work. It's been a really enlightening conversation. So thank you. And thank you for sharing all of the resources as well so that we can go and continue learning more about the history of Russian transpersonalism. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And we enjoy being here. Sofia University is a very legendary institution, and we are happy to be part of this global mental health conference.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Jan. And thank you, Weilan, for organizing our presentation.
Thank you all for your fantastic speech. I hope you can join our next year's conference as well, and we can discuss more.
Thank you.